Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Charlotte Canion. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag Indie Beacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Hi, this is Charlotte Canion. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio. And it's my privilege this evening to be interviewing Judy Ann Lowe. Now, Judy is the author of children's books. And you want to know why? She's been a teacher most of her life. Welcome to the show, Judy.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Now, what I want our listeners to know is, when did you decide that you wanted to be a teacher?
Oh, in the last century, I had a wonderful aunt who taught kindergarten in Arlington, Texas. And I loved and admired her. And I thought, I want to do what she does. So
Now, how many years did you teach?
50 years.
50 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And I can see in your heart that you love children. Now, when did you decide you wanted to be a children's book author?
About 2008, 2009. It started rolling over in my mind. And based on my life's experiences at the time with my husband's health, that was the inspiration for it, for all of them.
And you also, your books are in other languages?
Yes, they're in Spanish, and I have branched out just lately with one story going into French.
Into French?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is really cool. Now, do you have plans to write any more?
Yes, I have one in the works right now, and I'm finalizing it so that it can be turned over to the illustrator so she can work her magic.
Do her magic. Now, how did you find your illustrator?
Through a friend of mine. Her stepdaughter is an illustrator and an artist, and so she's done all of my illustrations at this point.
So you use the same illustrator on everyone. Now, do yours follow a series?
Well, they kind of do, but they don't have to follow each other necessarily. It's not like number one, number two, number three. It's just the way it falls, but they're not really a sequel.
Okay. Do you have characters in it that?
Yes, that appear in each one.
Each one of the books. So which was your first book?
The Little White Light. It's for ages 1 through 6, could go to 9 for those that are working at being independent readers.
Well, give us a little synopsis of The Little White Light.
Oh, well, The Little White Light is about a little girl named Penny who has this marvelous journey with the little light every morning, every night, and sometimes during the day, and it just brings her joy and happiness.
So she just does all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Now, you won an award on this, right?
I did. It took first place from Ontario, Canada, from the Book Excellence Award, and it took another award in Boston, Massachusetts, from the New England Book Festival.
Well, congratulations.
Yes.
It's got to be exciting.
And when the Spanish edition of it came out, it took first place for stories in Spanish for children in Benton at the North Texas Book Festival.
Now, is that what one of these trophies are?
Yes.
I think that one.
No, that's the Spanish. Yes, the Spanish edition right here.
Yeah.
Award.
Now, are you going to make sure all of your books are in several languages?
Yes, especially in Spanish, since our population.
Because of the population in Texas.
And United States wide.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Well, I'd like to know a little bit. You were married to a teacher as well?
Yes.
And
he was a biology teacher at a high school in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. So you're from Dallas, Texas.
Yes. Dallas ISD from beginning to end.
Now, have you always written children's books, or?
That's all I've written. Yes, it's children's books.
And that's what you intend to stay in that
I
genre?
think so. I think so.
Now, do you go to schools and read?
I do. I have read to many, many children at even fourth grade, because the fourth grade is the one level who takes the state writing test. And I have read to fourth grade, I've read to fifth grade, sixth grade, third grade, all levels in elementary school age groups.
And you like to do that?
I do.
I'll bet COVID has kind of locked you down and you're not.
It has definitely, yes, affected everything in that regard.
Yeah. Because I know you were sharing with me earlier that you went into school and did their bulletin boards. And
Yes. From the school I retired from, I've always, even before I started writing, I always enjoyed making my own bulletin boards and doing a lot of other things like that in the hallways, etc. And so after I retired, the counselor at the school, and in conjunction with the principal and assistant principal, said, "Judy, we need something on this big bulletin board in the cafeteria." And I said, "Really?" So I've started doing that. So every month I'd go in and I'd start working up the new bulletin board for the month.
so the shamrocks are still sitting there from
Yes,
March.
because March was when the schools broke for spring break, and then COVID hit, and that was the end of that. So that March bulletin board is still
Still
there.
sitting there. Still sitting there. Now, when you write your books, do you know the whole story before you write them, or do you kind of write it as you
Well,
imagine as you go?
each one represents a major personal connection to my life. And so I took that particular situation and elaborated on it and created the story around that.
Yeah. Now you've got one here. What, MJ's
New friend.
new friends?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's someone at school, right?
No, this story came about because after my husband passed, I was going through a number of boxes in the garage. And in one box, along with all that other wonderful stuff that we all have, I ran across 3 paperback books that had to do with the 1947 landing of that spacecraft in Roswell, New Mexico, on that rancher's property. And Sam had never brought up that particular inquisitive interest that he had in that subject area. So I sat there and I looked up in the ceiling and I said, "Sam, you never said a word. That's okay though. I just didn't know." So I took them in the house, and over a number of months, I read a number of pages out of those 3 books. And I thought, oh my goodness, because the Little White Light has already come out. And I said, that's going to be my second story. And so MJ was my husband's middle initials. So that's the new friend is a little space alien.
Yes, space alien.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, we're getting into
But he was a friendly alien.
a friendly alien.
Yeah, like E.T.
Now, what age group is that?
This is for ages 6 to 12, could go to 14, depending on the child's reading skills.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I incorporated a bit of math and science in this one.
Okay.
And the message in this story goes towards acceptance and diversity. You're going to love this.
Okay.
The message in this story is to help the child realize that they can have a friendship with someone who is different from them, irregardless of what that difference is. That friendship will be a special gift that will last a lifetime.
Oh, that's a book that needs to be out there right now.
I know,
doesn't
it kind of fits the whole time frame, doesn't it?
It really does. Now, you won an award for that one?
I did. It was the finalist in Denton at the North Texas Book Festival.
North Texas Book Festival. Now, you're involved in a lot of book reading and book festivals, and I think you even do a little light editing for people.
Yes, I do a little light editing for that.
Do you think that that's the best way for authors to get themselves out there, is getting involved in everything that they can?
I do, because they become more comfortable with it, and they can be themselves as they put themselves into the story, whether they're actually a part of the story or they're creating it and manipulating the storyline as it progresses through the pages. Yeah.
Well, Judy, we're going to take a short break here and let our sponsors do their thing.
The Fire in the Rock by Charles Henderson Norman was named to Kirkus Review's list of the best books of the year in 2016. It is the story of the Exodus as told by Zipporah, Moses' widow, long after the fact. But it is not a conventional Bible storybook. It will challenge non-believers, but it will challenge believers as well, with a human perspective on a story that you have never heard.
Available on Amazon as a paperback, ebook, or Audible.
Well, hello there, my friends. My name is Randy James, independent voiceover producer in the Dallas, Texas area, available to write and record a 30-second commercial, much like the one you're hearing right now. It's a great way to help increase awareness and exposure to your book title. It's easy to do. Simply call me and we'll brainstorm on a few ideas, and in a few hours, I'll whip something up and send you a digital file ready to use. Remember, call or text me, Randy James, at 214-762-1942.
Welcome to IndieLector.store, an online bookstore where the discriminating reader can find award-winning books. IndieLector.store is not a big corporation, so we can give up to 80% of the sales directly to the author. Help us support them by buying a great book at IndieLector.store.
Join us for the 6th Annual Authors Marketing Event in Granbury, Texas on July 23rd to the 25th, 2021, where authors share ideas and learn from the professionals over a 2-day weekend. Receive your book marketing certification from the only organization in the world that has been doing it for 5 years, Authors Marketing Guild, a membership-based organization that supports authors from around the world. Learn more at ame.authorsmarketingguild.com. Sponsored by IndieLector.store, a bookstore that pays authors their fair share.
Hello, I am the author and poet Denise Bryson. I am the author of The Things That Cross My Mind, Love's Reality, both in book and audio form. I am also noted as one of the best poets of 2011. I have 2 new projects coming up. One is the Blinky series, where Blinky tells us all about our coins and our bills for our children. I also have a book coming out called Say Ye. It's quotes from Denise Bryson, just inspirational and that will help you along the way.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Mouth going. Have a drink. Get your drink. She's been waiting for the wine till after.
Yeah, I was ready for my short snort, Alan.
All right, whenever you're ready.
This is Charlotte Canion, and I'm the author of the best self-help book in 2018, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, How to Parent Your Parents. And it is my privilege and honor to be interviewing Judy Ann Lowe. She's an award-winning author, not just in English language, but in other languages as well. Judy, tell us a little bit more. How do you find someone to edit a book in a different language?
Well, it really is not someone, pardon me, that I personally know. It was a recommendation from a friend of mine who has a friend that knows a number of languages. So she referred me to her. And so we talked, and she said, just send me the book. I will do it. And I said, oh, good. And that's the way it worked.
And the same publisher that does
Yes.
English will do other languages,
Mm-hmm.
even though they can't read it.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, this particular lady knows French very well. She actually has a home in France as well as here in Texas,
Wow.
yeah, or in the United States, yeah. So, yeah, she's back and forth, so she can feel very comfortable between languages.
That's interesting. I'm going to ask you right now, What is the most interesting situation you were in with your books, or what is the most interesting person you've met? Or you can tell us both.
Well, I've met a number of very interesting people from the beginning of this wonderful experience, and they've all been very warm and affectionate toward me and accepting of my story, of the story of my stories. And that has meant a whole lot to me. It makes me feel all fuzzy and warm on the inside, too.
Well, it makes you important too.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay, you've got a book here called An Almost Very Scary Day.
Yes, and that's for ages 6 to 12, could go to 14 as well. Depends on the child's reading skills. That one was the finalist from Ontario, Canada. And the message in this story is to help the child find the courage, confidence, and compassion. I call it the 3 C's that they have within them. Whether the compassion is for another person, may I? Or for an animal. And in this case, it was a blue parakeet.
Okay.
So it's a really neat story for children to learn some of the character traits that we all have as human beings. And that was part of being a teacher too, was teaching students the different character traits that we have.
Have you ever wished you'd have these books back when you were a teacher?
Oh, yes, I do. I could really have stepped right into it with that. That would have been an excellent plus. Yes.
So these are like gifts to teachers because there's moral behind.
And the elementary counselors have bought my books. The elementary counselor at the school where I retired from spread the word to other counselors within the Dallas ISD. And that was the beginning because I was constantly getting messages they would put in my mailbox in the office or calling me, and to call them. They wanted me to come on their date when they had career day and be one of the participants of people in different occupations to talk to a group of children about my writing and my skill. So I did that many times. In fact, it spread to the point where I was traveling not just within Dallas ISD, but to other counselors in other cities in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area that I traveled to and talked with teachers and students. That was incredibly amazing. So rewarding, so rewarding.
Well, you're such a beautiful person. I can't even imagine. And now, have you gone outside of, I mean, I know you've gotten some Canadian awards and all. Have you gotten to travel outside of Texas with your books?
Not that no. No, I was getting
But
ready
you
to say
would.
not that,
But you
yeah,
would.
but not that I know of. But I would welcome that. Yes.
Well,
I really
probably need to put that on our radar for
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Now you've taught morals. What other? You said you've got a new story coming out. What is it pertaining to?
Well, it's about a goose named Dewey, and some of these characters, MJ and Penny, are in that story, as well as the new friend, and then another other group of children, and some of them were my students, and they knew I was writing one, and they said, "Oh, Miss Lowe, please put our name in the story. Please put our name." And I said, "I'll see what I can do." So I can't get them all in there because it would be just a list of children's names, but I will. There are definitely some in there.
Well, I always like to ask my authors if they do base one of their characters on their students, and you said that you do. Now, when your illustrator draws them up, do they kind of look like that student sometimes?
Some do, some it's the illustrator's perception, because I give her the names of the students, and they're multicultural, so it's all not just one-sided, but it's multicultural through and through, and all the different characteristics. I will give her hints about some of them, and that leads into the conversations that develop within the context of the story.
So that's how she, puts
and she puts the special look on the faces and everything that coordinates with it.
Yeah. Now, I think you mentioned that you do have, now MJ is your husband's middle initials, but have you used his character in any of the books?
Somewhat, because he was such an easygoing person, but and he was easy to get along with, easy to know. He was definitely a people person. So he is a people person within these stories as well.
And I have to share with the listeners, they'll get the biggest kick out of this. Her husband taught at my high school. Yeah. I don't think I had him in, he wasn't my teacher in time, so he didn't flunk me anywhere. Yeah. But he was definitely at my high school when I was there. So that was just really a neat little connection that, that we've got. Now, you're always winning these awards. Do you have anything out there right now that you're, in line for?
No, not that I'm aware of. I just the story in Spanish of MJ's New Friend was up for an award here in Denton at the North Texas Book Festival, and the trailer for it. And so I just found out day before yesterday that it took third place for stories in Spanish for children, and the trailer won an award as well.
Well, congratulations. So, I know you're just having the time of your life.
I am.
You wouldn't change a thing.
No, it's wonderful.
Well, if you had to give advice to a new writer, or maybe like us, someone that's retired and became a writer, what advice would you give them, and how would you tell them, to get started?
Just to be comfortable within themselves. And if it had to be the beginning of a story that they could really create that and compose that reflects them in some way, that way they can feel comfortable with it because they're part of that story in whatever age bracket it is. That, for me, that was the easiest part for me to do, rather than create one that I know nothing about. So I based it on my true experience, but I wrote them in a fiction format.
So you're telling us you met an alien somewhere. Well, Judy, hold that thought for a minute.
Okay.
This is Charlotte. We're going to take a short break with our sponsors.
World War II, the Holocaust and a mysterious package arrives in New York from Germany 40 years after the war, involving 3 families across the oceans. Mystery, intrigue, and correcting the most heinous of wrongs. This is just part of the story Michael Newman tells in his book, Between These Walls. Available in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or at indielector.store. Buy it today and enjoy this thriller of a novel. Thank you for watching or listening to Indie Beacon Radio. Our sponsor, indielector.store, is the only bookstore that pays authors their fair share for book sales. Help authors to succeed and enjoy a great book by supporting them at indielector.store. Enjoy a 10% discount with coupon code SHOPPER20 at indielector.store. Coupon valid until December 31st, 2020. That's indielector.store, coupon code SHOPPER20. Dear Texas is proud to present the Lone Star Festival on May 29, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. where Texas authors, artists, and creatives come together for a Texas-sized event at the Seguin Coliseum, Seguin, Texas. Sponsored by Indie Lecter, Authors Marketing Guild, and the City of Seguin. A perfect event for those who enjoy the creative arts. Register for your free tickets and prizes at lonestar.bookfestival.network. Authors Marketing Guild is a membership-owned organization designed to help authors succeed and learn how to better market and sell themselves and their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com and receive so many benefits you'll wonder why you didn't join sooner. That's authorsmarketingguild.com.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
This is Charlotte Canion, and I'm speaking with Judy Lowe. Now, I call her J-Lo, so I am in good company. She is a star, and a star you can be. I actually met her a couple of years ago, and she was receiving the award of the evening. Judy, tell us what that evening was like for you.
Oh my goodness. Surprise, surprise, and surprise. It was an award as for a super reader for 2018, given to Judy Ann Lowe for years of service, encouraging children and adults to read. That was incredibly fantastic and such a surprise. I thought, ooh, me? And another author sitting next to me, get up. And no, it can't be. Yes, it is. So Jan Sykes had a play in that, which I didn't know. So that was another wonderful, wonderful moment with that as well.
Well, I watched you that evening. I could see that was a highlight for you.
It was.
And it is a beautiful, beautiful
Yes.
trophy.
It has a special place in my four walls.
In your home.
In my home, in my four walls. Yes.
I'm going to ask you to share with us what it means to you to be an author and to see children's faces light up when they have read your book, or maybe you're in a classroom and you're reading a book to them. Tell us what that does for you.
Oh, it makes my heart smile. I have seen parents and children who have bought my books, and they'll see me somewhere and they say, oh, you're the author. I have your stories. I have your stories. And I've read them and read them and read them. And the mother's standing there shaking her, yes, and they have read them, and read them. They've read them so much they can almost tell you word for word as they turn the page. So I said, that makes my heart smile.
Well, we know that COVID's going to be over one of these days. Schools will open. So I want you to tell our listeners, how they can get in touch with you, how they can go to your website, how they can reach out to you and either get your books, or get you live to come into their schools once they're open and share your story.
Yes. Well, all of my books are in Austin at the Indie Lecter store. Shipping is free. They're also online at Barnes & Noble's bookstores, and they're on Amazon. Or they can go to my website, jspathways.com. And they could even go through the process of making their selection there and making their payment on how much, that they're paying for per book or a collection of them. And then I get the message and I will sign the books. I will put them in the mail to their address and they're on their way.
So they can get autographed copies.
Yes.
Now, can they reach out to you personally to get you to come read? Like if a library wanted you to come read?
Yes. They can email me at my email address, sajudylowe@gmail.com.
Now spell that out.
That's all lowercase. S as in Sam, A as in Apple, judylowe@gmail.com.
Judy, this has been a pleasure to have you in my studio. I want to thank you for coming and sharing your beautiful books with me and all of your awards and all of your cute little books. This is Charlotte Canion, and I want you to remember that a rose is like a book. You won't know its beauty until you look at it. But a book is like a rose. You won't know its full beauty until it opens. Bye for now and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website.
Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Charlotte Canion. Indie Beacon Radio is produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for Authors Marketing Guild LLC, copyright 2020. Voiceover by Randy James, Lydia Bello, and B. Allen Bourgeois. To be a sponsor of the show or for more information, please email us at info@authorsmarketingguild.com. To be interviewed for the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music Always Rejoice by Ramcord